there was a couple of moments in that game. They can't stop anyone. I mean, it didn't matter. Down distance, you got to overtime, and they just converted every time you turned your head.
Yeah, this is a tough one, man. You know, I tweeted during the game that I thought they quit, and I did because I saw in the last punt of the third quarter, I saw the effort of the punt team, and I'm like, oh, no, here it goes. Well, you know what? I was wrong. So I got to give them credit for fighting back and doing what they did. But attention to details, guys. That's what's missing with this team.
Yeah.
Another blocked field goal, not getting away from the punt that led to another 7 points. So that's 10 points there for the special teams.
Yeah.
Just a lot of stuff that needs to be buttoned up, and you can't have those things happen if you're a team like the Bears. And I will give them credit for coming back and doing what they did. And the other thing I'll finish up by saying is that it kind of summed up, I think, what a rookie Caleb Williams looks like. He came back, fought his butt off, got us in position to win, and then made a poor rookie mistake, taking that bad sack in overtime when he should have thrown the ball away. But we saw a lot of promise with him. But again, it's just the details overall. With a team like this, you can't have that happen, and that's just really disappointing.
Yeah, there was so much in this game. I guess where I'll start is just the talent of the young quarterback. You know, just I'll be like the Chicago Bears, and I'll try to sell you on this loss we just had. So his arm is phenomenal, right? It's a phenomenal. Some of those throws he made today were phenomenal. As Mannelly says, that sack in overtime is a rookie mistake, right? And they lead back. It's just everything just keeps repeating itself this year, and you're waiting for them to find the answers that they're looking for to fix, as you mentioned, Mannelly, the details on special team, getting the block, right hash, middle field, left hash. It doesn't seem to matter, right?
No.
And then but you know, it takes so long to move somebody over to that left side, right? Like that's what you should have done before you even got the first block. Right, like people noticed your protection was leaky. You finally moved Darnell right over there after 2 blocks. Like, why does it take that long? Right, like that's what they're saying about the Packers special teams coach said we're going to get a block because your protection looks like that. And then again, you can't find points until late in the fourth quarter. No matter how good it looked, no matter how many good passes the young quarterback threw, you only had 10 points going in. And then there's just details all throughout the game of, you know, even challenging a play where everyone knows the guy's in bounds. It's just, it just is, when you watch this team, it's frustrating, and yet you're hopeful at the same time after you watch them come back and DeAndre Carter get the hell out of the way of the ball, and then a big return. Right? Like, it's just so many examples of this that is frustrating when you watch this team, and we'll hear what they got to say after the game, but I'm sure it'll be more of the same. And you heard the sideline reporter say the same thing, that we're a player-led team and we're doing fine. No, you're not. You're not doing fine.
Well, I mean, guys, you know, okay, you get a field goal block again. That's awful. I don't think anyone will see that. Do you have to let him march down the field? You come down, you score a touchdown, you go for 2. I mean, someone will explain that to me. Then you let him go down the field and kick a field goal. Like, what? I mean, whatever happened to their defense stopping someone? The same thing happened against Green Bay, where they just marched down the field at the end of the game. I don't know. They're about as far off the boil as you could be, and I get it. The safety's gone. They've lost the defensive tackle, but they don't stop anything. That fourth quarter, they kept getting favorable down in distance, and it didn't matter at all. The overtime, sorry.
Mully, in the fourth quarter, I went back to look at this. They had a 3rd and 12 that they let get converted. They had a 3rd and 13 they let get converted. Then there was a 3rd and 10.
With Nick Mullins coming in.
And there was a 3rd and 10 in overtime. And that's where your money is, right? And that's where your head coach is supposed to be the expert on. And you can't have that happen. You know what I mean? You just can't have that happen. There's a lot of stuff that went on, but that's bad right there. You can't have 3 3rd and 10s or more and let them convert. You just can't have that happen.
Yeah, and O'Connell seemed to be ahead of Eberflus at that moment, right? He was calling the zone beater. He guessed cover 2. He guessed they were deep. Dropped it off to Aaron Jones. Everybody else blocking, first down. Next time they come back, boom, they got a man, and the Bears are in man, and they got a man beater, right? It doesn't mean that the players don't have to make plays, right? Like we talked about watching Jalen Johnson one-on-one, right, with Justin Jefferson, and Justin Jefferson wins there late in the game. T.J. Edwards gets beat by Hawkinson. It just seemed like that was over and over again. After that caused fumble, right? Jonathan Owens had a tough game, it seemed like to me, in coverage, and they were picking on him and trying to find him and finding their matchups with Addison, Jefferson, and Hawkinson, like we talked about. Going into the game, Aaron Jones hot early. Like Mully is talking about, this defense looking for a pass rush, right? The Vikings are on their third left tackle. Quisenberry's in there, right? So, they lost Darisaw. Cam Robinson goes down. They even lost their, Ivan Page Jr., their linebacker, goes down, right? So everyone's dealing with injuries. Everyone has something going on. And it just seems like the Chicago Bears, like you guys are saying, they can't get everybody working together. If the offense and defense are working, the special teams making a mistake, right? If the offense is going to, if the offense scores, the defense is going to give up a drive. If the defense stops them, the offense can't score. We can't just get everybody working together at one point in the game. And all that said, I mean, they are fighting back. They're tied. It's just a weird game to analyze, right? Because for it looked like they got blown out. Then all of a sudden the game was tied.
Right.
Yeah. That was ridiculous.
Another thing, Mully, we're talking about details. I was looking through my notes here. It was in the third quarter, about 10 minutes to go on the 4th and 4 play where they ran the field goal team out, pulled them back off, and then Caleb barely got the snap off with 1 second. It was incomplete to Keenan Allen. How do you not have that already planned? Why are you letting your field goal team run out there? Why are you putting Caleb and that offense under pressure with the clock? That to me is, again, that's a coaching mismanagement, and that's details. Those are things that should be understood, communicated between Richard Hightower, Thomas Brown, and Matt Eberflus, and you shouldn't allow the offense to get in that situation. Be a little more decisive on what you're going to do. And that to me is just kind of another issue with this sideline. They keep having communication errors, and I don't. It's a little inexcusable. You can't do that. Like don't put Caleb out there to sit there to clap his hands on a 4th and 4 trying to snap the ball at the last second.
Shane Waldron got fired again.
Yeah. But it is. Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, like, if you're going to fire someone, you fire someone on defense after that game, or you fire someone on special teams. I mean, I don't know that the offense, what did they wind up with, 27 points? That's about as many as I thought they had in them. I was impressed that they actually got 27 points. And what did they score, 10 of them in the final 25 seconds or something? It was the most absurd thing I've ever seen. But they did get back, and honestly, at one point I was kind of just hoping they would get a draw, tie the game. At least you're not losing. I know we were joking about it, but holy guacamole, that is awful. It's an awful way to go down.
Yeah, it's just that they don't break 20 until it's under 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter again, right? It's just, the Vikings go up 27-16 and they go into prevent, which is great, right? They're going to prevent, and now we have a chance to sit back there, move the ball, and the game just kind of totally changed at that moment when Flores kind of took his foot off the gas, right? And we only have 16 points, after a Vikings field goal at a minute 56 left in the fourth. Right, it's just finding points throughout the game again, and you're right. We do end up with 27, but that's what 11 with 2 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
Right? It's just kind of crazy to watch. Right, it's a touchdown. It's a 2 point, and Caleb makes amazing plays, man.
Yes.
I mean, breaks out of there, rolls to his right, breaks a few tackles, finds guys in the end zone for the 2 point play, and then we get an incredible onside kick. I think they said the first one recovered this year. Right, so So that's what it takes for us to break 20 points, right? And it's just you're finding and it's just when you're watching this game and you're watching, they're the ones constantly talking about accountability, constantly talking about details, right? Talking about all these things that they need to do. They're a player-led team, and as former players, Pat, I mean, you're hoping that's successful,
yes,
right? We're hoping you're successful, but now you're 0-5 in your last 5 games. Yep. So why don't you try something new, right? Why don't you try take the blame? Why don't you try be quiet? Why don't you try get off the radio, get off all your podcasts, and go to work?
We'll talk about podcasts. Another detail was Cole Kmet dropped a key pass in the second half on 3rd and 3. That was very catchable. And again, it's just the little details. You can't have that, and especially with this team. And it's just, I want to go back to Caleb, and it's a loss, right? But
Yeah.
when we break down this year, we were talking about what's Caleb going to look like throughout the year? What's his evaluation progress? How's he moving along? You know, if you step back and look at this, I'm encouraged about what I saw. Again, Olin, he scored another field goal going into the half, right? He's scoring at times when he needs to, when he's making the big plays. And the other thing I like is he looks comfortable and calm in those situations. You know what I mean? I think the great ones can kind of just embrace it, and it almost like they're ready to do it. And I think he's got that little part to him, and I like that. Unfortunately, he didn't get the win, and you know he takes the bad rookie sack like I was talking about. But you are seeing some encouraging things with him in game deciding situations at the end of half. He's scoring points at the end of halves and end of games. So there's little things you can take away that are encouraging, I think, for him if you're looking at the picture of just Caleb Williams in his rookie year as a Chicago Bear.
It looks like, Pat, like he wants to be there, right?
Yes,
he wants to be in those situations. And even today, I was critical going into this game of, yeah, they did convert third downs, but those are with his legs mostly in the first half. Well, today, he sat in that pocket and he was, I mean, that's the definition of slinging it now.
Yes.
That's the definition of throwing the damn ball, throwing a dart, throwing a dime, and it's just too fast for NFL football players to get in the way of it. I mean, he was making plays, but you just got to be careful here because, again, we get into this Bears situation of selling, losing.
Right.
Yes.
Right? Like we lost, but remember all the good things we did, right? Which has been going on for too long right now. They got to everything is fine, right? Everything is, you can find positives in every NFL game. My problem is you're losing these games and you've been losing them for too long.
Mm-hmm.
He threw 32 of 47. So that's 47 attempts. I don't know how many of his 6 rushes were attempts. I don't have the sack numbers in front of me. Got sacked a few times, right? That's a lot of 3 times. That's a lot of pass plays, right? So that's at least 50. And they ran it 6 times. He threw for 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, that's a hell of an outing for a rookie quarterback. It's unbelievable. Now, unfortunately, they threw for 330 yards and a couple of touchdowns. At least that's what Darnold's stats were, 22 of 34. And then they got a 14-yard completion that doesn't count on that from Nick Mullen when he came in on 3rd and 13 or something. I mean, goodness gracious, that is a pretty impressive throwing performance. Again, probably way too many passes in a game. You know, when you get to 50, pass plays no good. It's very hard to win, and the Bears don't win when they throw the ball that much. But I'm just saying, the kid had no problem slinging the thing all over the field today.
Yeah, Olin, we both said it. I think he embraces that situation in the fourth quarter, too. And I look back, I think I have it here somewhere, that Thomas Brown at halftime, I think, was balanced. I think it was almost 50-50 pass and run. And then I think the game got a little out of hand, and you've got to throw the ball more. But again, we're selling a loss right here, Olin. We're selling a loss. What I like is what I saw out of Caleb, but again, it's not good enough. You know, it's 5 in a row. I don't care how well he played. You go back into that locker room right now, you go into Hallis Hall tomorrow morning, it's not good enough, obviously.
Yeah, it's hard not to, though. You know, Pat, I'm with you. That's why we're talking about it. But when you watch Caleb today, as Mully is saying, you're like, man, there is something here, right? And I thought Thomas Brown in the second half, even when the score was still close, I thought he went away from the run too much. I thought that he would get like one good run and then try to take a shot or throw the ball, right? And I don't know how much of that is, again, Caleb pulling it and throwing it. I would have to rewatch the film. But I remember saying at one point while I was watching the second half, like commit to the run. You know, commit to running the ball. Let's see what we can do there. I thought Darnell Wright and Pryor were getting a lot of movement there against the Vikings. I thought Darnell Wright was really coming off the ball for the run game. And I thought Thomas Brown got away from it. And it's hard because it's almost like the offense was so bad. But what you saw today, you just want to give credit where credit is due, right? You just want to say, man, they were at least did this and did that. But as we talked about earlier, these points come so late, right? And yeah, they do tie it up, but you got to get a miracle onside kick, right, to get to 27. and you got to score on a 2-minute drive when they're up by 2 scores. And we all know what defense Flores is calling when he's up by 2 scores.
Yeah.
Right? He's not calling his defense. So, yes, the young quarterback looked like the number 1 pick of the draft. The Bears, the defense did not look good. Continuation of, Brisker's gone. You're on your 3rd safety. They pull the ball out at the end zone, but again, they walk right down the field on the first drive. It's just over and over again. The ball got blocked on the right hash, so now you don't know where to put the damn ball, right? I don't know what you thought, Pat, but there's a couple times DeAndre Carter, before the fumble, was running up and catching the ball, and to me, it was kind of crazy.
Yeah,
right? And it was. Anyway, I mean, I'll let you talk about special teams, but this team has an identity, and they repeat it week in and week out.
Yeah, just real quick, I know we got to go to break. It didn't look like he was tracking the ball at all, at all. Like the kickoff he dropped right. There was a couple punts he wasn't, and it wasn't a windy day. And then real quick on the muffed one that he had, there's this thing called a 7-yard rule. I don't know why they came up with 7 yards, but all the special teams coaches talk about it, that if you're going to let the ball bounce, you get 7 yards away. Because you can read kind of maybe on the second bounce what it's going to do. Maybe it takes a big hop right up to you, or it takes, it's an oblong ball, so it's going to bounce a little differently. But he wasn't 7 yards away. And again, that's details. That's coaching details. When you're saying Peter, and getting the guys away, you get 7 yards away from the ball. And he looked like he was 2, and that was part of the problem. And again, that's details.